On September 2006, the merchant ship MV Joyita disappeared without a trace while sailing in the calm waters of the South Pacific. It was carrying a valuable cargo of manganese nodules worth millions of dollars. But when the ship failed to arrive at its scheduled port, nobody really seemed that bothered. And it was until 5 weeks later that the bizarre mystery surrounding the vessel and its cargo was finally solved. So what happened to the MV Joyita? And why did it reappear empty and without a single member of its crew on board? The MV Joyita was a bulk carrier ship owned by a company called Pacific Minimart, which specialized in transporting minerals from one island nation to another. The ship had a relatively short voyage planned for late September 2006. It would depart from the island of Nauru in the Indian Ocean and sail 310 miles northeast to the port of Tarawa in Kiribati, where it would deliver its cargo and then set sail back to Nauru. But the ship never made it. It was almost as if the 600-foot-long vessel had simply evaporated into thin air. But the truth is that all these years later, we still do and know exactly what happened to the ship or where it was during those 5 missing weeks. On October 2006, after not hearing from the ship for several days, the worried captain of the MV Joyita contacted the authorities and reported his vessel missing. He told them that the ship had been chartered to carry 48,000 tons of manganese nodules, a type of mineral that is often used to make steel. The shipment was worth an estimated $18 million, making it an extremely valuable cargo. But despite the fact that millions of dollars worth of goods were missing, the authorities didn't seem overly concerned. They searched the area where the ship was last known to be, but found no sign of it. After a few days, they gave up the search, and the case went cold. However, on November 2006, almost a month after it had disappeared, the MV Joyita was finally spotted. The ship was found by a U.S. military vessel in the Indian Ocean, about 90 miles off the coast of Somalia. At first, the military thought that it might have been hijacked by pirates, since it had clearly been abandoned. But when they boarded the ship, they found that nothing appeared to be out of place. All of the ship's cargo was still there. Its lifeboats were intact, supplies were still on board, and most surprisingly of all, none of the crew seemed to be missing either. But this last detail was perhaps the strangest of all, because the ship's manifest listed 23 people who should have been on board, including 19 crew members and 4 ship's officers. Yet when the Navy searched the vessel, they found no sign of any struggle or of anyone being forcibly removed from the ship. The only evidence that anyone had been on board was a half-eaten meal in the galley and some recently used bunk beds. It was as if the entire crew had vanished into thin air. To this day, nobody knows what happened to the crew of the MV Joyita. One of the more popular theories is that the crew members were taken off the ship by pirates and that they are now being held for ransom by an unknown group. However, since no ransom has ever been demanded and the ship was found in an area known for piracy, this theory seems unlikely. Another theory is that the crew staged a mutiny and then left the ship without telling anyone. However, this too seems highly unlikely because a mutiny of this scale would be unheard of in modern times. And it is also very unlikely that every single crew member would agree to abandon ship and leave the valuable cargo behind. There are also some more outlandish theories, such as the ship being hijacked by the CIA or some other government agency. However, since the ship was carrying a large cargo of manganese nodules, which is primarily used in steelmaking, it's unlikely that the ship would be of much value to any government. And so, even though the ship was found empty, its cargo intact, and with no sign of any struggle, the mystery surrounding the disappearance and reappearance of the MV Joyita remains unsolved. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to stay tuned for more stories of missing ships.